Okay. How about now? We got something? Yeah, it looks like for some reason it corrupted my mic. So here we are. Well, welcome now. Welcome to the show now, I guess. Uh yeah, 0 to 5 audio. Okay. Well, you got audio now, I'm guessing. So it's just a slight delay, so you should hear it now, I'm sure. But let me get back to let me check this one here. Yeah, that one's good. Okay. Yeah. Well, sometimes stupid Streamlabs like to screw with me and change the audio settings to some corrupt file or something. So I didn't. It's when I log in. At the minute I log into the account, it's like bang, it does it to me sometimes. After I do all the checks, and it's always like the final. It's like witching hour. Basically, it gets me right at the 11th hour, and it just likes to fuck with me. So thanks for letting me know, guys. That'd have been funny if you guys weren't here and then I was just doing it for like 10 minutes. I'm talking and there's no sound whatsoever. Uh, okay. So, anyways, yeah. Well, welcome to the show, guys. We're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about the USAID thing, which you were kind of alluding to initially. It's kind of a big story right now in the whole government debacle, if you will. We're going to talk about that and what they're actually spending the money on and all that. And then I got a funny little, you asked for it, Joe. You got it. I did a little one of my little funny stories about the USID or AID, I should say. So we'll do that later. Also, we got we're going to talk about the Eagles and the Chiefs game that went on yesterday and how funny that was. I guess I don't know. That was just wow, what a trouncing. I guess when the yeah, that'd be funny. Oh, oh, Rita. Yeah, I should do it the whole thing like that. You should see the new one I dropped today. A couple different voices in there. Anyways, yeah. So that Chiefs game, geez, I guess it's fun when they're not getting all the ref calls. You can see what happens to the Chiefs. They kind of implode a little. But we'll talk about that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the TikTok thing and an idea that Trump had that looks like they might try and do, putting it into a sovereign wealth fund, I guess, which would mean that potentially the U.S. government could own TikTok, which would be completely batshit crazy. But we'll talk about that. And yeah, if you're watching and you're not yet a subscriber, do hit the subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Best way to support a channel like this is to subscribe to it. And obviously, content, like, comment, all that. You see, guys, you see my boys are in the comments section right now. So if you are watching and you want to get in there, get in there. Say something. Say something funny. Say something good. Say something bad. I don't give a shit. Just get in there. Say some stuff. And if you miss any part of the podcast and you don't want to check it out, or recheck it out, I should say, you can check out the small clips I put in during the week. I put between Tuesday and Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern. And check those out. You can like them, obviously, share them, all that kind of stuff. Engage with them. Comments are big. That helps YouTube. The algorithm, it lets the algorithm know that you like the content, or at least it's engaging, and that it pushes it out there. So that helps small channel. So do that if you like this channel. If you don't, well, go fuck yourself. I don't really care. All right, let's switch over to this scene here. Now I can look this way instead of looking that way. What are you saying there? Half Namibia and RSA now on the warpath over USAID. How did you make you feel seeing? Yeah, that was kind of sad for Tay Tay. I think that's over. I'm pretty sure that's over. People are just so sick of that shit. The whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. He seems like an asshole anyway. So, I think he's I don't know. Maybe there's a breakup song coming. She'll put him in a song and that's it. That'll be the end of that. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they'll move on to a different football player or something. I hope it's not. I just hope it's not any Bills player. That would suck. But yeah. Anyways, okay. Let's get on. Let's get on with the show. The show. I did a little something different this time. I changed it up a little bit. I added a couple different. I'm doing like segments now. I talked about this before. I was going to do that. I was going to do the segments. Did a couple of little segues into the segments, and add a little legitimacy to this podcast. Make it a little bit more, I don't know, up the production value, if you will, rather than me just talking shit on the camera and you guys saying stuff in the chat. Yeah, it'll be a little bit more, maybe a little bit more watchable. Who knows? We'll see. All right, here we go. Let's get into the first topic here. Okay, I'm all set up. Here we go. So yeah, the USAID has been in the news a lot thanks to Elon Musk's Doge and the commitment to attack government bureaucracy. And starting with this, it's funny. It's funny how the worst of it is always named the best. USAID. It just sounds so nice. But when you see all the bullshit that these guys are up to, and the corruption, and just the level of garbage spending that's going on, it's quite concerning. I'm going to read this article. This is AP News. It's going to be, of course, every article you find about USAID is going to be leaned towards how good of an organization is, how much they're going to hurt from all these cuts, and it's an overall attack against USAID. What they'll always say is USAID, because that just sounds worse, right? Instead of USAID, because it stands for U.S. Agency for International Development. So it's not like they're aiding people necessarily. It's like we're just giving a bunch of food. They're also helping to try and steer those places in the way that they want them to. And you'll see that by a lot of the spending. You're going to see when I go through the list of some of the weird spending, there's a lot of stuff in there that's Western ideas that they're trying to push over in different countries. So here goes. Here's this article. So it's from fighting disease to protecting the Amazon rainforest, USAID has big impact across the globe. Just in the title alone tells you right there what they think. The Trump administration's decision to close the U.S. Agency for International Development has drawn widespread criticism from congressional Democrats and raised questions and concern about the influence billionaire ally Elon Musk wields over the federal government. The United States is by far the world's largest source of foreign assistance, although several European countries allocate a much bigger share of their budgets to aid. USAID funds projects in some 120 countries aimed at fighting epidemics, educating children, providing clean water, and supporting other areas of development. Well, they do say aimed. They aim at that. They might miss a lot and, and hit other targets that they're not going to tell you about, but let's carry on. The stop work order has amended many of those projects and has seen nurses laid off and clinics closed in more than 25 countries where 2/3 of all child deaths occur globally, said policy fellow and deputy director of global health policy. Geez, that's a mouthful. At the Center for Global Development. Here's a look at USAID's impact around the world. Protecting the Amazon rainforest and fighting cocaine in South America. I'm not going to get into that. The agency transferred some $45 million to the UN Food World Program, mostly to assist Venezuelans. What else are they saying? Disease response, or girls' education and free school lunches in Africa. Last year, the U.S. gave the sub-Saharan region more than $6.5 billion in humanitarian assistance. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, I'm not donating. Countering Russian influence. USAID supports governance and media projects in countries where Russia exerts a large influence, such as Georgia and Armenia. Last year, it sharpened increased support for programs in Armenia as the government of Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has sought to reduce links with Russia and strengthen ties with the United States and the European Union. Okay. Hospitals in war-ravaged Syria. This one. Okay. I can't even read this with a straight face. If you know anything about Syria, you'll know that it's kind of like, it likens to me like the guy who went and punched you in the face and broke your nose is the guy bandaging you. It's just silly to me. I'm not even gonna read that one. That one, I can't do that one with a straight face. Support for marginalized communities from the Balkans to Uganda. Support for media in Myanmar and mine clearance in Cambodia. That's so the kids can get in those mines, right? They want to make sure those mines are clear. So you don't have to clear them very much. You just have to kind of clear them slow, right? So the kids can just duck and get in there. That's what they're doing over there. wartime help in Ukraine. And that's all they're going to say here. Okay. Garbage article. Now, let's just see what's some of the stuff that they're actually spending on. Here's a nice little list. This is Mark Buffington, who is, yes, he is, what does that say? He is the CEO of BIP Capital, a managing partner of BIP Ventures. So posted this on X. I went and vetted some of it. I can't vet all of it, but I vetted probably 75% of it. Seems to be legit. Obviously, some of this is going to be a little bit of hyperbole, and I'll get into that a little bit more as I go through the lists. Here we go. 1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. True. 70,000 for the production of a DEI musical in Ireland. Couldn't really confirm that one exactly. The money, who knows? But whatever. That's kind of a drop in the bucket. What's 70,000 amongst friends? It's fine. 2.5 million for electric vehicles in Vietnam. 47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. Now, just a little bit of extra money there for that. Again, what's 47,000 amongst friends? 32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. Nice. A little bit of a theme there. 2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala, because they need that. That's, they're very concerned over there about LGBT activism. So it's a good thing they're putting some money over there into that. 6 million to fund tourism in Egypt. There's one of the hyperbole ones. That's not exactly true. That's a very oversimplification of what that money is going to, but still, whatever. Hundreds of thousands of dollars for a nonprofit linked to designated terrorist organizations, even after investigation was launched. I don't know about that. That's kind of vague too. 2 million plus to EcoHealth Alliance involved in research at the Wuhan lab. Yep. Hundreds of thousands of meals that went to Al-Qaeda affiliated fighters in Syria. Again, the whole Syria thing's weird. Funding to print personalized contraceptives, birth control devices in developing countries. You got to realize that a lot of those developing countries don't really believe in birth control, but because it's kind of against their religion. But okay, let's carry on. 16.8 million to support equitable outcomes in inclusion in Vietnam. 8.3 million for equity, inclusion, education. Nice. Okay. 7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gender language. Oh, we're getting in some good money here, though. It's nice to see that they're spending good money on stuff like this. 6.3 million to study men having sex with other men in South Africa. This one just feels like a bunch of creeps wanting to watch. They're like, pay for my trip, go over there and watch a bunch of guys have bum sex. But whatever. 20 million for producing an Iraqi version of Sesame Street. 520 million for ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance consultants in Africa. That one's crazy because that one's convoluted. Nobody knows exactly what that number is, I don't think. But I think they're putting a bunch of shit into that one as well. 45 million for DEI scholarships in Burma. 2 million for Moroccan pottery classes. 2 million promoting tourism in Lebanon. Sent Ukrainians to Paris Fashion Week. Specific amount not specified but highlighted for criticism. 200 million plus of dollars to fund irrigation for the Taliban's poppy fields, which is nice. I mean, you want to make sure that that opium gets the water that it needs. So we're happy to help. 50 million for condoms in Gaza. This is another one, a little bit of hyperbole there. That's not exactly 50 million in condoms. Obviously, it's that's basically like a pharma, whatever you'd call it, a pharma package. That would include all kinds of stuff in that, not just condoms. But anyways, 30 million for South African HIV/AIDS programs criticized for misuse or inefficiency, and 25 million for green transportation projects in Georgia. Mocked for suggestion Georgia needs Teslas. Okay, so that's just some of them. Okay, that's what this guy put a list together. And like I said, I vetted a lot of it, and it's pretty easy to vet. You just Google it and you can find other news stories that'll talk about it. You got to do a little digging sometimes, but yeah, it's I don't think they're actually really arguing the fact that they're spending this money on that. They're kind of just trying to justify why they're spending that kind of money in these foreign countries and such, and they're trying to attach it to the idea that the USAID does all this great work as far as humanitarian work, making sure that the hungry are getting fed, that the thirsty are getting water, and that there's that money is going for other aid for for vaccines and things like that. So it's yeah, it's just, come on, it's just comical. And then if you look at the rest of what's going on, where they're finding out that the USAID is actually spending money on excuse me, on memberships to like Politico and different media media outlets, it's showing that they're trying to also push the propaganda of the USAID. So the whole thing's corrupt. And while I agree that it should be reformed, I'm not 100% sure that it should be shut down completely. Obviously, I think they do some good things, but it's just silly to me that that the same people that were calling for defunding the police are the same ones that are saying to not do it, to leave the USAID alone. Those same people that are calling for that should be the same ones saying defund the USAID and reform it. But again, they're not going to say that, because that's not the liberal talking points or the left talking points. I won't say liberal, because I don't think it's a liberal and Republican thing. I think it's a progressive leftist thing, and I think it's it's more of a propaganda that's swallowed by these progressives. Sorry, but yeah. Anyways, pretty garbage stuff for this USAID. What are you guys saying here? Musk's pissed. The ANC right up a rope as well. It's government talk for nation building. Yeah, exactly. They had a 500 or 50 billion budget. Yeah, I know. It's actually, I think, more than 50. I think it was like almost 60 apparently. But and what they say about it too, which is funny to me, they say, oh, it only represents like less than 1% of U.S. spending. Okay, it's still 50 or 60 billion. Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, okay, that's fine, because it only represents that little percentage of the total money. Then yeah, we can just go ahead and waste it. It's not a big deal at all. Can you imagine if 40 to 50% of that is waste, complete waste. Whatever, 25 to 30 billion, just completely wasted. It's unbelievable, the level of waste. And if you really think about the level of waste, if you use that 40%, which is often a used number when they're talking about government mismanagement and government waste, 40% of about $7 trillion a year spent on various organizations, including USAID and such. 40% of that, what is that? Like 3 trillion? 3.2 trillion or something. It's an unbelievable amount of money that is just completely being wasted, or not stolen. Maybe just stolen. What else are you guys saying here? 90% back in their pockets as kickbacks. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm sure it's like a huge amount of kickbacks. Think about it. And the way they would justify that is to say like, oh, they wouldn't get that money. It's the same way they justify if you give to like, what do you call it? The Red Cross or something. And like 12% of what you give ends up making it to the actual end. What's the word I'm looking for? Like basically the end use of that charity. So what it's actually intended for. The rest of it is just paying people and whatever. Who knows? Extorted money. Like, who knows? It's just money all gone. Didn't get to the bottom line. And they say, well, we wouldn't have that 12% if it wasn't, for Red Cross. Well, that's not a justification as to why there's an 88% waste. And I don't think people give, most people give knowing that. 6.5 billion to sub-Saharan Africa says it all. Yeah. Yep, that's 50 billion that should have gone into building the U.S. and updating things like our power grid. A lot of them haven't been updated for 100 years or more. Exactly. So we've talked about this before many times on the podcast about just take care of yourself first. I'm fine with, the U.S. and even Canada, where I'm from, our little pittance of what we can give. But I'm fine with helping developing nations and giving money and all that, and the charitable whatever initiatives that the U.S. embarks in. But you can't do that if your country's crumbling. if you need to fix things at home first, if you got, you've got natural disasters wiping out people's homes and livelihoods, and then you're just giving money away, like it's ridiculous. It's not your money. That's the whole crux of it. It's not your money. It's everyone's money. You just have a bunch of idiots who are arbitrarily deciding where they're going to give this money to, and then this bureaucracy that's so big that nobody questions anything. Just, oh, okay, well, USAID's budget's $50 billion a year. Here's your $50 billion. No oversight, no whatever. It's whoever's supposed to be overseeing where the money's spent are the corrupt idiots that are running the situation. So you can't trust what they're doing. Brutal. Well, they can't have the kids mine if they can't have the kids mine if they can't get in the caves. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that they're doing that. They're doing God's work there. And that 50 billion has not been created or earned. Yeah, exactly. Well, it has been created. They just make it out of thin air. 47K would pay my rent for 4 years. Exactly. Yeah. It's funny. That's why I say, what's 47,000 among friends? Just like, here you go. There's 47 grand. I'd rather them do a lottery. I'd rather them do a lottery in the States and just pick out one out of 350 million people. Just be like, okay. It's Joe in Michigan. You got 47,000. Here you go, buddy. Use it for whatever you want. Use it for dresses if you like. I'm not saying that you're a cross-dresser, buddy. Namibia's first president kicked the bucket yesterday. Oh, well, that's sad. We were going to have an entire month of drum beating and praise singing. The begging bowl is broken. It's about time. 150 per citizen and more than double their per taxpayer. I think all the taxpayers deserve 100% refund for the last 4 years. Yeah, well, Trump's been talking about getting or lowering the income tax. I mean, there's always talk of getting rid of income tax. They'll never do it. But if you lived prior to World War I, you wouldn't have paid income tax. So they were able to do it then. They can't do it now. All right, let's get on to the next thing here. But before I do, I'm gonna test out one of my little widgets here. I should have done the first one, but I didn't. I don't know why. Here we go. Look at that, eh? So, yeah. Well, I had to try it out. So the Chiefs and the Eagles played last night, and wow, if you watch that game, holy shit. I don't know if you were expecting the Eagles to trounce the Chiefs, but they did. And yeah, it was fun to watch if you hate the Chiefs, which I do, because I'll admit I hate the Chiefs because I'm a Bills fan, and they beat up the Bills every year, and I'm sick of it. So, and I'm sick of the talk of the ref collusion and all that shit. But let's read this article here. This article here is from motorcyclesports.net. We got to give some of the small ones a chance because all the larger ones are bought and paid for. So let's see what they have to say. Super Bowl 59 controversy. Chiefs accused of cheating as Tom Brady rips into refs over game-changing call. The Kansas City Chiefs are once again at the center of an officiating firestorm, as NFL fans erupted in fury over a controversial penalty, man. There was a penalty call during Super Bowl 59. The uproar was only intensified when football icon Tom Brady, who once defended referees against rigging accusations, delivered a scathing on-air rebuke, calling out the officiating crew for a decision that gave Kansas City a crucial early advantage. Yeah, if you watch the game, you'll know it was a very weird offensive pass interference call. I'm going to read it. It'll tell you, I'm sure, but it was weird. It looked like that's what they were going to do. It kind of had the same feelings as what you felt as a Bills fan when you were watching that game. But the call that set the internet on fire, the Philadelphia Eagles took an aggressive approach on their opening drive, refusing to punt on fourth down with just 2 yards to go. Jalen Hurts found A.J. Brown on the right side of the field, and the star wide receiver hauled in the pass while baffling Chiefs safety Brian Cook. But just as Brown fought to extend the play, a yellow flag hit the turf. The ruling, offensive pass interference. Fans inside the Caesars Superdome erupted in disbelief as referee Ron Torbert awarded Kansas City a critical possession-changing penalty. The call immediately became the biggest talking point of the game, with accusations of favoritism towards the Chiefs flooding social media. Football's greatest quarterback analyst Tom Brady wasted no time tearing into the decision while covering the game for Fox Sports. The 7-time Super Bowl champion, who previously defended the NFL's officiating, flipped the script, calling the penalty unnecessary. "Oh, I don't like that one bit," Brady said on air, clearly frustrated. "Huge moment in the game, and that's just hand fighting. You've got to let him play. What do you think, Mike?" Fox officiating analyst Mike Pereira agreed, saying, "There's hand fighting, a little shove at the end, but I don't think this one needed to be called." Brady doubled down, stating, "I always thought in these games you let the players decide it on the field. I hate that call to start the game." Exactly. I mean, if it looks like they're both kind of doing something, you leave it alone. Like, you kind of just, you don't want to have the refs do too much where it changes the game. But if you watch enough Chiefs games, you'll know that they're good at doing that. His remarks immediately sent shockwaves through the NFL world, with fans pointing out the irony. Brady, once the ultimate defender of officiating, had now joined the growing crowd calling out NFL refs for alleged bias. The moment ignited a firestorm across X, former Twitter, where furious fans accused the NFL of favoring Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, a theory that's only gained traction after a string of questionable calls benefited Kansas City throughout the postseason, which mostly against the Bills. This latest controversy comes after a wave of referee-related conspiracy theories surrounding Kansas City's path to the Super Bowl, particularly following their AFC Championship win over the Buffalo Bills, a game marred by several highly questionable officiating decisions. Usually the spotting of balls, and then that one catch that was clearly not a catch, hits the ground, but call it a catch anyways. Despite the outcry, the Eagles managed to recover from the early setback with Jalen Hurts rushing for a touchdown in the first quarter. But the damage was already done. The Chiefs' reputation is now more polarizing than ever, and questions over refereeing integrity in the NFL continue to cast a shadow over the league's biggest night. Okay, so anyways, this whatever. It's a decent article. It's pretty spot on, I would say. But it's funny though, because there's all this talk, obviously, of like them fixing games and the refs doing different things to make sure that the Chiefs win and such. But if that was happening, clearly they just couldn't do enough. It was obvious that the Eagles were just trouncing them the whole game. They couldn't do anything. It was 34-0 at one point. The only reason why the score ended up is because there was 2 touchdowns in garbage time. Realistically, they just completely just decimated them. They looked ridiculous. They couldn't do anything. The Eagles were just faster, stronger. They executed better. They just looked 10 times better than the Chiefs. It was quite nice to watch, to be honest. So hopefully, if I don't know, I hope the whole NFL being rigged is not true, because I like the NFL and I would hate to think that that the games are contrived and the result's going to be the result. But if that's not the case, let's say, but the refs have been kind of screwing around for the Chiefs in some way, well, maybe this will put an end to it finally. Maybe people will, because it's being ousted out there and the Chiefs lost so badly, maybe now they'll just kind of say, all right, fuck it. Let's let the Eagles be the team now, and the Chiefs can kind of take a little back seat. But I guess we'll see. You're saying I think Trump will do it the next time the Dems get in. We'll go right back. Why can't the Lions get the refs blessing? It's BS. Yeah, I feel sorry for the Lions. That's well, they got fucking hammered this year with injuries though. They were just screwed. They were decimated with injuries. But they did lose to my Bills. My best friend's a Lions fan, so yeah, if there's a Lions-Bills game, we're watching it. Maybe if Jared Goff started dating Britney Spears. No, hey, listen, maybe Taylor Swift. She might be free in the offseason. Who knows? She might write a song about Travis, and then she'll be off to Jared. Who knows? You could be talking a lot more about Tay-Tay yourself, brother. All right. Okay, let's get on to the next thing here. Let me populate the next segue here. Oh, there it is. You like that segue? That's not bad, eh? All right. Well, listen. Let's talk about this. This TikTok save, I guess, if you will. Could be a TikTok save. Might not be. I don't know. It's just talk right now. But they're talking about setting up an American sovereign wealth fund that could acquire TikTok. This has the makings of a whole bunch of bananas. So I wouldn't be too excited about this. But let's see what they have to say here. This is CNN Business, so don't expect too much. Let's see what they have to say, though. President Donald Trump said Monday that TikTok could be acquired by a newly proposed U.S. sovereign wealth fund. The statement was light on details, but Trump said that TikTok could be put in the possible sovereign wealth fund to preserve access to the popular short-form video app in the United States. Other countries have sovereign wealth funds, Trump said, as he signed an executive order directing American officials to set up such a fund in the U.S., modeled after state-owned investment funds in countries such as Norway and Saudi Arabia, which direct their national budgets into financial assets such as stocks, bonds, and real estate. As an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it. Otherwise, we won't, Trump said. And we might put that in the sovereign wealth fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very wealthy people, a lot of options. The suggestion comes as TikTok is under pressure to find a new owner by April after Trump signed a 75-day extension to the law that requires the app to be sold from its China-based parent company, ByteDance, or to be banned in the United States. Trump has pledged to help work out a deal to ensure the app remains accessible to its 170 million American users. I don't think that's right, but whatever. A lot of duplicates maybe in there. He previously said the United States could take a 50% ownership position in a joint venture, potentially with TikTok's existing owners or new owners. But standing up a sovereign wealth fund and then using that fund to acquire the platform is unlikely to happen anytime soon, and TikTok's deadline for working out a deal is quickly approaching. It's not clear who would run it or whether it could gather the tens of billions of dollars, estimated to be needed to buy the platform. So this is the problem. If the government were to set up this fund and the government owns 50% or more, well, essentially they own the controlling stake of the company, who's going to be running it? Is the government going to essentially be running it themselves? That's a whole mess. What's more, an acquisition of TikTok by the U.S. government could raise some tricky questions, including how the platform could be managed. Technically, the proposal could work under the bounds of a seller ban law passed with broad bipartisan support in Congress and signed into law last year by former President Joe Biden. For a deal to satisfy the letter of the law, ByteDance can hold no greater than 20% share in TikTok, and there can be no operational relationship between TikTok and ByteDance going forward. So in other words, ByteDance can't say shit. They just have a big, financial stake in the company, but they have no decision making, say or whatever, right? TikTok. So he added that ByteDance would also have to hand over full control of the TikTok algorithm, which both the company and Chinese officials have previously said they would oppose doing. That's the big one. That's obviously the big crux of the whole thing. It wouldn't matter necessarily if ByteDance owned, essentially a controlling stake, as long as they opened up the algorithm, as long as they opened up everything to U.S. officials, right? So they can oversee and see what's going on and what information is being harnessed and taken by China, right? So, however, if the U.S. government takes the large ownership stakes in TikTok, the app could become ungovernable because the First Amendment protections that could restrict the government from cracking down on or even potentially promoting and demoting through an algorithm certain types of speech. So, in other words, you can't screw with the First Amendment using this app, right? So it ends up being kind of like a weird conflict of interest, essentially. So, let's see. And even if the U.S. government did manage to acquire some of all of TikTok, there's no guarantee the app's American users, who have long been skeptical of the government's motivations in trying to force a sale of TikTok and have been frustrated by months of uncertainty over the possible ban would remain on the app. If users abandon the platform, advertisers would likely follow, potentially undermining such an investment. Okay, so I don't think that'll happen. So I can see what they're saying though. If the floor fell out and the U.S. were to invest or back TikTok, they'd have to obviously buy it, and there'd be whatever to the tune, let's say whatever it is, I don't know, $10 billion or more, or whatever the valuation of TikTok would be. Well, then if it goes to shit, well, it's a shitty investment. But I don't know. I mean, the U.S. has no problem making shitty investments everywhere else. Speaking of the USAID, so I don't know why they would have any real problem with risking TikTok or buying TikTok, other than, like I said, the conflict of interest. But yeah, so let's take the money argument out of this one, since we all know that the U.S. is just notorious at mismanaging money. Yeah, Eagles won. Realistically, the Eagles won by like 34 because it was like 40-6 at one point, and after that, it was just garbage time touchdowns. So it was 40-22 the final on it. But yeah, like I said, the 16 points they scored after were bullshit points. They were down 34-0, right? So it was late too. 34-0 was what was it? The end of the third quarter almost. Okay. I don't want my tax money going to buy the clock app. Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, if it was a good investment, I think someone like Jimmy Donaldson from Mr. Beast would probably likely, him and maybe a couple other investors or something might be the likely buyers of it or something. But we'll see. Don't the users like the idea of the Chicoms having a Trojan horse? The Chicoms? The Chicoms? I don't know what that means, but what's the Chicoms? You'll educate me. All right. Let's get to the next thing here. Let me plop this up. First, got to get my segue going here. Oh, there's the segue. Okay, so I got this article here that I may have written. It's by, we'll say it's by CNN, even though it's, it's not really by CNN, but let's just say it's that. Here we go. So what the USAID has really been up to all these years. So this is an article by Turd Ferguson. You probably won't be able to read all this. It'd be too small, but imagine this is a thought exercise. You're a penguin living your best life when suddenly 3 Black Hawk helicopters show up and offer you and your pack tablets and smartphones loaded with all the best news media apps like Politico, CNN, and Newsweek. You're encouraged to watch these apps and interact with the propaganda content they produce while sitting on your not yet hatched offspring under the warm, furry little ass. All while you wait for your penguin wife to return from her fishing trip with the rest of the girls. By the time she gets back, you've been brainwashed into believing your world is a matriarchy and you have better things to do with your life than to sit on an egg all day. This is just one of the many things the USAID does all around the world, from lavish condoms for Gaza and turning frogs gay to destroying the nuclear penguin family and everything else you can imagine. This is God's work. Thank goodness there's an organization like the USAID out there doing the things that keep our world safe from an unhealthy lack of sexual diversity in the frogs and a dangerous penguin matriarchy that could lead to a mass population explosion of tuxedo-wearing flightless birds. Despite all of this, there's an evil organization led by a super Nazi named Elon Musk, hell-bent on destroying the wholesome and tireless work of the USAID. Musk lackeys are busy putting a halt to your hard-earned tax dollars that were rightfully extorted from you and dispersed secretly to this perfect organization for the purposes of furthering their righteous agenda. This is not constitutional and an attack on the very fabric of democracy. Since when is setting up agencies that act under the guise of aid but secretly pushing propaganda and acting outside of the best interests of its citizens not democracy? USAID is currently under attack by insurrectionists and fascists attempting to uncover secret practices of spending your money in ways that you're too stupid to understand. As knuckle-dragging citizens with very low IQ and overall understanding of important matters, we should just sit back, shut up, and hand over our money with a smile and say thank you to these magnificent organizations who do the work we're incapable of doing. What's next? We go after the CIA, NSA, or the FDA? How many trustworthy pillars of our democracy can be attacked before we have a total collapse of our well-cultivated and totally hijacked nation? We hear domestic terrorists, like many of you reading or listening to this, say things like the deep state controls everything, or we need to end the bureaucracy. But do you even know what you're saying? What's wrong with the deep state? Would you rather a shallow state? Or maybe instead of a bureaucracy, you'd prefer a deskocracy? Use your God-given brains and government-approved speech to really think about it and discuss. I suggest you avoid X, since it's no longer a free speech safe haven, and use one of the many other government-approved platforms. USAID is a force for good and will spend your money however it wants. If you don't like it, well, then you're just a fascist. There we go. There's your article, Joe. I wrote that yesterday. I wrote another one today because it just struck on me to write a different one. It's probably not far off the truth. Yeah. Yeah, Turd Ferguson articles. It's funny because I call my girlfriend's son Turd Ferguson all the time. I'm like, "What's up, Turd?" Then when I call him his full name, Turd Ferguson. If you know where that's from, that's actually from Will Ferrell and not Will Ferrell. No, it's not Will Ferrell. It's from SNL when Will Ferrell is playing Alex Trebek, Jeopardy, and I forget who is it. It's the guy playing Burt Reynolds. It's Norm Macdonald when he's playing Burt Reynolds. Calls himself Turd Ferguson. Anyways, that's where it's from. Yeah. Oh, look at that. We're at 45 minutes, gentlemen. Jeez, I plugged through those articles. What'd you think of my little segues? I put them together. You know, adding a little element of professionalism to the podcast. Now I just have to get somebody that actually will sit back and do all the shit, so I don't have to do it myself. So I don't have to be like on topic and then go, "Ooh, I gotta go do this, and then I gotta do that, and then I gotta hit record over here, then I gotta change this shit over here. I gotta transition." There's a lot to do over here, guys. That's why Rogan has a Jamie. I got nobody. I got me. But yeah, I'm doing my best over here, man. Just doing my best until I get some serious watchers, not just you two you two jagovs. If it wasn't for you two jagovs, I probably wouldn't even do this anymore. It's you two and me, and then people coming in and out the whole time. Come in, take a look, leave, sometimes stay, depending on what I'm talking about, I guess. Today probably just wasn't as interesting. But yeah. All right. Well, listen, guys. I don't know. I got nothing left. You got something to talk about? We can talk about it for the next 5-10 minutes. Otherwise, I got a video game to go and play. I've been playing what's that called? Fuck. I can't remember the damn name. Something Deliverance 2. Can't remember. I just downloaded it. Tough fucking game. What are you saying? If you need to transition, I hear USAID has a program for that. Yeah. Listen, I might. I don't have any hair, so I could just. I'm a clean slate. Yeah. Anyways. All right. Well, listen. We could just end nice and early. It's 47 minutes in. I know Tim Pool's starting soon, so that's what you're doing, Joe. For me, I'm just gonna go play my. I'm gonna go play my video game and eat something, and live my best life. For everybody else watching, thanks for watching. Let me just do this over here. I'll transition over here. Good job of getting some rain there, buddy. Hopefully, hopefully that drought's over for you over there. But yeah, anybody that was watching or is watching or will watch, thanks for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. That helps a small channel. Been growing pretty decent lately, over 400 now. So that's kind of cool. Excuse me. And yeah, and if you miss any part of the podcast and you want to go back, or you want to catch it without going back and watching it, the whole thing, you can check during the week between Tuesday and Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will post the segments that I talked about, all the ones that are worth posting. And you can check those out. Obviously, like, share, comment on those, engagement. I say it all the time. Engagement, that's what helps the channel. That's what helps small channel grow. So do that if you like the channel. If you don't like it, engage as well. Tell me how much you don't like it. Tell me how much of a schmuck I am in the comments and make it funny. And I would hate that. So don't do that. I would hate that. So just don't do it. Thanks, Robert. See you next week, buddy. Enjoy your rain over there. Yeah, don't get too much. If you get too much at once, that's probably not a good thing, but let's hope it's nice and evenly spread for you. And Joe, we'll see you next week, buddy. And for everybody else, thanks for watching. We'll see you next Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern. And yeah, until then, take care.